This podcast is an audio companion piece to Garden with Grace Alexander, the gardening calendar in your phone, which is, if we're honest, the one place you actually need it. To get your copy of the calendar, go to gracealexanderflowers.co.uk. Hello, Happy New Year. This is a sort of response piece to Claire Rattinen's really lovely article in The Guardian this morning about her gardening New Year's resolutions, which were, in essence, if you don't spend lots of time in the Guardian lifestyle section, as I do, are to be much more gentle in the planning and to buy fewer seeds. Now, I can see why you are thinking, I am a seed merchant and I've also released and spent most of my Christmas and New Year, to be fair, working on a Google Calendar, Outlook, Apple Calendar for gardeners, which sends them notifications and reminders whenever it's time to do anything in the garden. I can see why you would think that this goes against how I'm trying to make my living, but I'm going to share with you why I disagree and what my thoughts are about this. In life, in gardens, in all things, Aristotle and his golden mean is such a useful model. So many New Year's resolutions are extremes: to give up things, to take up things, to do things every day, to never do things, to always do things. They are so much of our ideas about behaviour particularly are in a completely dichotomous way. Whereas if you start to think about continuums of human behaviour, this is all a bit personal construct theory and DBT, dialectical behaviour therapy, and also now, if you've come across ACT, which is a really amazing third wave sort of psychological idea, acceptance commitment therapy, they all have this idea that there are tensions and paradoxes, and so much of living a good life is about avoiding extremes. The golden mean being the sweet spot. So if you think about courage is not an end point at the other end of a lack of courage or cowardice. It is the sweet spot between cowardice and recklessness. The continuum always goes beyond. And thinking about being gentle in the garden and buying fewer seeds, I can completely get behind those as ideas if the opposite of those is rigidity or wildness, that is an abandonment. And I think when we think about gardens themselves, they're always about a sweet spot between what nature would do if we left it to its own devices, the growth and the abundance and the wildness of that. But at the other end of that is, we all know what it feels like to see a garden that has been, the human touch has been too heavy. And I'm thinking about astroturf grass and the absolute, weirdly, I'd call it the inhumanity, but where natural spaces have been just had all of the nature taken out of them. And the sweet spot of everyone's perfect garden is going to be somewhere in between the manicured and the wild. A little side note here that I think a lot of tension in partnerships in gardens is going to be because your sweet spot differs slightly, and all of us will have a sweet spot about what absolutely lights up your soul. I confess that mine is probably somewhere to the right of my husband's, who will see weeds where I see meadows and will desperately want to mow the lawn just at the point where I think it's starting to look really lovely and interesting. So yes, there is a sweet spot. And I've tried to really build this in to my business model, which is that the calendar that I have built for you is not imperatives. It's not like your work calendar. It's not, a meetings calendar. We've all got those calendars. If you haven't, I envy you. It is a suggestion calendar, and it is a helpful companion calendar that just says this is actually something that will take a bit of the cognitive burden off you. This isn't an imperative. It's not a demand. The alert that comes on your phone, the notification that appears, is not directive. It is suggestive. And if you ignore it, I will remind you again just at the moment where it's too late to sow your sweet peas, I will put it in again just to say, just in case you haven't got round to this, this is what we need to do. And similarly with the seeds. On some of my packets, it sort of says, remember to leave some for the seeds. I don't want you to keep coming back to me. I'm so inspired by Beans and Herbs, who basically say you get to buy from us once and that's it. You don't get to buy from us again. You've got your seeds. They grow literally on the plant. Don't eat them all. Save 10 for next year. And I really love that idea that, yeah, it's not great for me in terms of what how I need to pay my mortgage and pay my bills. But at the same time, I really want this for you. I want you to have the joy that I have of harvesting my seeds and then growing them on next year. But I'm not absolute about it. If you want something new and you want to come back and you want more, then do it. This is not abstemiousness and absolute recklessness. They're extremes, and we don't want extremes in all things, in all gardening and life tasks, in love and hope and resolutions for the new year. I want you to find your golden mean.